Today we read Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 18. Ritu Maharaj milks the earth planet, and text 20. Do we have enough books to read it? Excuse me? Oh, on the board, okay, then it's good. Please repeat after me. Anye cha mayino mayam.
Anye cha mayino mayam.
Anye cha mayino mayam.
Anye cha mayino mayam.
Antardhanad bhutatmanam.
Antardhana bhutatmanam.
Antardhanad bhutatmanam.
Antardhana bhutatmanam.
Mayam prakalpya vatsante.
Mayam prakalpya vatsante.
Mayam prakalpya vatsante.
Mayam prakalpya vatsante.
Duduhur dharanamayim.
Durutur dharanamayim.
Duduhur dharanamayim.
Durutur dharanamayim.
Thus, translation and purport. Others also, the inhabitants of planets known as Kimpurusha Loka, made the demon Maya into a calf, and they milked out mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from another's vision and appear again in a different form. Purport. It is said that the inhabitants of Kimpurusha Loka can perform many wonderful mystic demonstrations. In other words, they can exhibit as many wonderful things as one can imagine. The inhabitants of this planet can do whatever they like or whatever they imagine. Such powers are also mystic powers. The possession of such mystic power is called Ishita. The demons generally learn such mystic powers of the practice of yoga. In the Dashama Skandha, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a vivid description of how the demons appear before Krishna in various wonderful forms. For instance, Bakasura appeared before Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends as a gigantic crane. While present on this planet, Lord Krishna had to fight with many demons who could exhibit the wonderful mystic powers of Kimpurusha Loka. Although the inhabitants of Kimpurusha Loka are naturally endowed with such powers, one can attain these powers on this planet by performing different yogic practices. Anyecha mayino mayam antardhana bhutatmanam mayam prakalpya vatsante duduhur dharanamayim. Others also, the inhabitants of planets known as Kimpurusha Loka, made the demon Maya into a calf, and they milked out mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from another's vision and appear again in different form. So, in this verse, different inhabitants of the world, or in this chapter, different inhabitants of the world milk the Mother Earth as calf, or milk different actually personalities to get whatever they want. And here, the demon Maya is milked, or is turned into a calf and then milked out from him the mystic powers. And this is Kimpurusha Loka. Kimpurusha, Kim means what, and Purusha means a human, or a being, a male being, or enjoyer. So it's because they don't have actually totally human form. They have half human, half animal form, so that's why it's Kim. What is this Purusa? What is this human being? What is this Kim Purusa? So they have the power, mystic power, that they can disappear and they can appear then in different forms. And here Srila Prabhupada refers it to be the power of Ishita, which is that you can manipulate the material energy out of your own will. So it means if you can disappear and then appear in different form, it means manipulation of the material energy. Also this that you can appear in different form. It's Ishita is one of the 8 mystic potencies, 8 main mystic potencies which are there, and there are also inferior potencies, and one of it is Kamarupam. So Kamarupam means that you can take different forms out of your own will. So that is not just Hollywood movies, it's true, it is happening, it is possible to attain these kind of mystic powers. And as Prabhupada refers here to the pastimes of Lord Krishna, there's many demons who can assume different forms. Actually, practically all the demons that are described in the 10th canto, they had that power that they could assume different forms. And one of those demons were Bakasura, who appeared in the form of a gigantic crane to swallow Krishna and kill him that way. Of course, it didn't happen. The crane was killed by, how do you call it, dividing the mouth? Bifurcating, yeah. Thank you. Bifurcating him, the mouth. So especially demons are very much into the mystic powers, and Srila Prabhupada in many places explains that these mystic powers are another distraction for a devotee. And he explains also that a pure devotee of the Lord automatically receive these powers. Lord Krishna, he explains that all of these powers can be obtained, and he also explains in the 11th canto, 15th chapter, that these powers are just a distraction on the path of devotional service. And but you can attain them also by performing austerities, by performing different practices of mystic yoga. And he explains that these 8 main mystic powers, they are coming from him directly, and he grants them. And then there are inferior mystic powers, like there are 10 and then even more that are inferior to those 10. So those 10, they come from the mode of goodness, from the material mode of goodness. And then there are even inferior powers that we are very much amazed of if we happen to see a person manifesting such powers. Of course, in the present age of Kali, although it is very much, these powers are very much admired in different, you could say, how do you call it, in different movie and so on and so forth industry. They are not so easy to be attained by present day people, because people don't have that austerity. They don't have that will of the mind to perform austerities and attain them, because you can attain them, and it's not even so difficult. You can attain them through mystic yoga to different kinds of austerities. Krishna explains that meditating these main mystic powers, such as this Ishita, they can be attained by meditating him in different ways. Like if you meditate him in his if you meditate him, for example, in atomic form that pervades all subtle elements, then this anima city can be obtained, becoming the smallest of the smallest of the smallest. And so this is one example how then meditating Krishna in different, you could say, it refers more to his universal form, different aspects of his universal form. Then these mystic potencies can be obtained. So they are planets, they are people, different people, different, you could say, planets where you can obtain, you naturally can obtain these kind of powers, like in the previous verse, in Siddhaloka and Vidyadhara. Was it Vidyadhara Loka? Yeah. And so in those planets they are natural, but here, even on this planet Earth, these powers are possible to be obtained, but you have to perform austerities. Or you could say those great kings, Raja, Rishis, such as Ritu Maharaj, for example, and even his father, King Vena, they had those mystic powers. And devotees of the Lord, Raja Rishis, King Yudhishthira, King Pariksit, and all these kings, they could have these powers, and that way you could say, for example, one of the inferior powers is that you are unconquerable. So no one can conquer you. So then they could really rule their kingdoms very nicely. No one could resist them. They could subdue all the criminal elements of the country quite easily. But then in the case of King Vena, as we know, he misused his mystic powers. His not even mystic powers, he used all the power that he had, as ruling as the king. He misused everything practically that he had. And that way, then, although it is very, very rare, he was removed by the Brahmanas, who then you could say they have even more power than such king who had those mystic powers. So ultimately, then all that is here in the material world, however wonderful it is still illusion. It is still temporary. If we use, for example, if someone of us obtained mystic powers, and then we misuse those powers, then we will lose those powers at one point. I don't know whether in this life, but for sure in the next. So everything is temporary in this material world, And although it sounds very nice that I can just disappear and go somewhere and then appear somewhere else in another form, it would really distract our mind. If we had those powers, we would just have fun for maybe years, and then at one point again, hopefully come back to the sphere of devotional service, or even we could distract ourselves totally, because they are so wonderful, and we are still, our minds are not maybe so fixed in devotional service that we could just think that, oh, this is so much fun. I can obtain whatever I like. That's one of the what was the name? Kamaya Vasita power, that I can get whatever I want, wherever it happened to be, whether it be sealed behind the 7 doors of the of the bank or something like that. I can still get it and like that. So it sounds very appealing. Yes, that's nice. That's nice. But ultimately, then they are coming from Krishna. Krishna is the Yogeswara. He is the yoga. He is the yoga Ishvara. He is the master and owner of all those mystic powers. So why don't we just let him show those powers in his pastimes and take part in the pastimes in that way, and then be just absorbed in him, rather than we become the center by obtaining those powers, and then ultimately we will become frustrated, but we may lose several lifetimes because of that. So that way it's better that the one who really owns the powers, the one who really is the master of all those powers, he displays those powers in his various pastimes, or his very near associates, like Pandavas, for example, that they can, like Arjuna, although it was not directly the soul of mystic powers, but he was amazing with weapons, and especially the archer, in the art of archery. So let them show those powers, and we just read about them. So that's then we will, at the same time, we can that way enjoy the powers, and then at the same time be absorbed in the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So that is the way, one way one could become satisfied or become, you could satisfy the needs, you could say, satisfy the needs of obtaining those powers. But Prabhupada, yeah. So that's the main point, and so mystic powers are, you could say, the ultimate material possession. You could imagine that if you have those powers, you can. But then it's not so important. In Mahabharata, there's this king. Damayanti was the wife, and King. Now I forgot the name. Nala, yes, thank you. King Nala. So he also had that, and there's a description in Mahabharata how he had, like they were natural in him, the mystic powers. Like when he was walking in the forest, for example, he didn't have to go like around the trees or bend, bow down or bend when there was a branch of tree. But when he walked, all those trees and plants, they just made way to him. So imagine, that would be very nice. So of course these are very nice things, but they are also distractions. So that way, engaging oneself in devotional service of Krishna and enjoying the pastimes of Krishna is the better way of satisfying the need to have those powers. Okay, so these were some thoughts of this verse. Do you have any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhu.
Thanks for the class. I just remembered, because there was this mention of Bakasura,
Yes.
or the demon in the form of crane. So the acharyas have commented that all these demons who came to Vrindavan, they were like great mystic yogis. And it happened so that first some of these demons started coming, like Putana and Shakatasura and Trinavarta. So Kamsa sent them, and then they never came back because Krishna killed them. So then some of these other demons, they started becoming a little bit afraid that what is this, that all these great mystics, they go to Vrindavan and then they never come back. So they thought that maybe if we transform ourselves into the form of animals, then Krishna will be more compassionate upon us and doesn't kill us. So does someone remember which was the first demon who came to Vrindavan in the form of an animal? Yeah, Vatsasura, a cute little calf. And then the next one was this Bakasura, and then they started assuming these animal forms. Because they were afraid that maybe Krishna will kill us, so let's transform ourselves into animal forms.
No, that's interesting. Thank you. Prabhu?
In this connection, she was explaining about the possibility that devotees have mystic powers, and then we start to have in the mind that Krishna is explaining Bhagavad Gita that he is taking away the things which are not good for the progress in spiritual life. So sometimes devotees are asking, why we don't have the mystic powers. Not Prabhupada in this connection said that we have the mystic powers, but because devotee know that everything belongs to Krishna, and devotees are only offering everything to Krishna, and Krishna is manifesting only these kinds of powers which are really needed. And Prabhupada especially was very proud that our main mystic power is that we can preach Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Yes.
The other mystic powers are generally for nothing because they are not so much helpful. Because generally we either appear in the street in some special form, we will be definitely not positive for the distribution of the in such way.
Yeah, thank you, Tapo, for the point. Yeah, that's true. And it's really a powerful influence to the people, but it's still not. It's still not that they become like hypnotized or something like that. They just become under. The devotees carry the potency, Krishna's potency, and they become under the spiritual potency. There. Yes, that's a good point. That's what was not mentioned, is that actually I asked Bhakti Vidyaputra Maharaj about this mystic powers, and he said that even the more you perform austerity, the more you can go to that direction. So you attain something. Like people who are disciplined, they have more influence on other people. So for example, devotees, they are one of the most disciplined in the world. So they certainly have that influence on the people, but they use it purely, or they at least you could say pure devotees use it purely, and devotees try to use it purely for the service of Krishna, and that way it becomes part of the devotional service. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Joo, ole hyvä. Haluatko sanoa suomeksi?
Joo. Esimerkiksi askieset, nehän vahvistaa ihmistä. Miten,
Askeesi?
Niin.
Okei.
Niin, miten naiset voi pitää askeiset, kun nehän on, niillä tulee miesten onnat sitten. Miehistyy, jos pitää rankat askeiset.
Okay. So the question was about the austerity, if you or tapas, what was mikä se toinen nimi sille?
Austerity.
Mutta yksi toinen nimi. Penance. About penance. So if through penance you get more power, but if the women perform it, so doesn't it become a lot more like they say more masculine, yeah, sorry, masculine attributes and qualities through it. Well, there's examples of different great women in the Vedic culture, and the main power that they have through, because the main actually austerity for them or penance for them is to be chaste and faithful towards the husband. So if they remain chaste throughout their life, so then and religious, so then they will become very, very powerful. But their power is feminine. For example, Draupadi, what was her power? She was insulted in front of the in the assembly hall, in front of all the main personalities of the Kuru dynasty. So due to this insult, the whole Kuru dynasty was destroyed, just because of insulting a chaste woman. So they become very powerful that way. It's amazing. Of course, if there are, like you could say, women sages who perform austerities in the forests, they will obtain other kinds of mystic powers too. But but the main austerity for ladies is this, and through that they become very, very influential, very powerful. You don't want to mess with those ladies who are chaste. It's bad for, because it will still, it doesn't change. In Kali Yuga the same will happen. If a chaste lady is insulted, then the person himself will be destroyed, and the whole family line also. So that's, but they are like feminine. They could. It's also possible for ladies to obtain these powers. It's impossible, but this is the main thing, you could say. Being chaste, and through that you get a lot of power. Gandhari, the wife of Dhritarashtra, she had her eyes sealed with a cloth, covered with a cloth because of Dhritarashtra's blindness. So when she could do with her eyes, she could do many things. When she lifted her cloth in front of Duryodhana, she could make him practically invulnerable. Only the part that was covered remained vulnerable, but other parts they became like steel. So and the same when she was angry and she lifted a little bit her cloth in front of Yudhishthira after the war. So she burnt the toenails of Yudhishthira because just lifting. So yes, it's possible to attain these kind of powers, but they are more like it's more like feminine powers, you could say. That's the main. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you for hearing. Let's finish the class here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Sri Gaura Nitai ki jai.